So it's always like these biases and these things that we create about ourselves that not necessarily match reality. And what happens is that we can block ourselves through such beliefs and limit our potential. Okay, this is Mike Sigula from TruthTheory.com and welcome to another video. It's me again, the funny guy with the funny accent. That's me. I'm hearing some people don't like my accent. What can we do about it? I got some feedback in the comments that my accent is not nice. I'm sorry, I don't know what we're gonna do about it. You gotta get used to it, because it's not gonna change. Honestly, I don't know what I can do about my accent. I don't know. Tell me in the comments, honestly, if you think it's okay or not. And if it's not, I don't know. Accent is something that it's very difficult to develop. And I've tried, but it is what it is. So we're not gonna change that. Get used to it. Get used to it, deal with it. I'm not gonna be improving my accent because of some couple of people in the comments. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what can we do about it, but it's gonna stay like that, so just get used to it. So let's talk about limiting beliefs today, because I think this is really important for many people. And I used to have these types of beliefs myself, and I see it constantly around me. And I see how people basically limit themselves and block their potential because of that. So this is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna give you actual real life examples of how people could overcome such beliefs. So everyone has some kind of limiting beliefs, or maybe not everyone, but most people, many people. So, something that you think about yourself, right? Like, for example, I don't know, let me give you one example. I used to do public speaking, right? And I was doing training public speaking in London, going to some weekly classes, like Toastmasters, this type of group. And from my perspective, I was limiting myself, thinking like, oh, maybe my accent is bad, like whatever, maybe I'm hesitating sometimes when I speak because of my dyslexia, blah blah blah. From the perspective of people watching me, they wouldn't think about it too much. Maybe one person would say something like that, but everyone else wouldn't care. So here you have an example where I'm already limiting myself by coming up with scenario, or belief about myself that is not valid maybe, or is valid only for like 5% of people or 1% of people, whatever. So, and the funny thing is that, for example, when I was doing that public speaking group, there would be a guy there from Ireland who had perfect English, right? And I would think like, how someone like him would have limiting beliefs if English is your first language, and for me it's not, and your accent is perfect and everything. But from his perspective, he was from a small town, so he would also limit himself, like, I'm just like a guy from a small town here, blah blah blah. So you see, I see him as a guy who shouldn't have any issues whatsoever in such group, but he is straight away creating bias in his head and limiting himself. So this is just like a very simple thing, that everyone has these types of beliefs. Someone, I don't know, you have a body shape and you think, oh, my legs are too big. And I don't know, there's gonna be some guy who's gonna think your legs are perfect. They love these types of little bit bigger legs or something like that. So it's always like these biases and these things that we create about ourselves that not necessarily match reality. And what happens is that we can block ourselves through such beliefs and limit our potential. So I'm gonna give you examples today how people would overcome such beliefs. And let's start with my favorite example. Okay, so listen to this story. So a couple of years ago, I moved into a new apartment in London with my sister. And I was basically moving stuff, like, all the furniture. I had to carry it inside the flat with my sister's boyfriend, who was helping me out. Italian dude. And funny thing was, okay, so we had this big piece of furniture. It was like this big, massive couch that we had to carry on the first floor inside that apartment, and it was very difficult. It was a big couch, very heavy. So we got into the apartment, standing outside with this massive couch, and there was this small fence blocking the entrance, right? And there was a small gate, like, I don't know, 1 meter tall or something, very small, but we couldn't lift the couch above the fence and the gate. So we had to dismantle the gate. We basically needed a screwdriver, right, to unscrew the gate. And we didn't have a screwdriver. So we started thinking, like, okay, what are we gonna do about it? Like, we should get a screwdriver. I'm thinking maybe I should go to a local store, whatever. And the guy, my sister's boyfriend at that time, Italian dude, he started asking people on the street if they have a screwdriver. Like, literally, there were, people walking by next to us on the pavement, on the sidewalk. And he started just asking random people, hey, sorry, excuse me, do you have a screwdriver I can borrow for a moment? And I was like rolling my eyes and thinking, like, come on. Who the hell's gonna have a screwdriver here randomly on the street next to us, and and they're gonna lend it to us for another half an hour because there was quite a lot of work there as well. So he asked 3 times. First person, no sorry, walked away. Second person, blah blah blah. Third guy that he asked was an electrician, and he had a backpack and a screwdriver in his backpack, and he gave it to us and patiently waited for another half an hour until we unscrewed the gate, and that's it. And we thanked him and walked away. So, and I was like, this is just such an interesting example here, because I was thinking, like, this is just ridiculous. This is embarrassing. Like, come on, you're asking people on the street for such a random thing. People probably gonna think you're crazy or stupid, whatever. And like, the third guy just gave it to us. So this is a perfect example how we can limit ourselves, that we think this is impossible and this is not gonna happen, this is too difficult. And actually, you never know, right? Let me give you another example. So when I was doing the public speaking classes, there was a guy there, and was like average looking guy, nothing crazy. And he told me how they would challenge themselves, like him and a couple of his friends, and basically try to pick up girls on the street just by approaching a random girl walking by on the street. So, I'm not gonna say this is like something you should try or whatever, but I just want to use this as an example how we, again, limit ourselves. So you would think that, if you are a guy who wants to meet a potential date, and you're just gonna randomly approach a girl on the street, and you're gonna just like say, oh, leave me alone, blah, 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 right? You're gonna think that's probably what might happen. So this guy told me that basically he would just literally like stand somewhere in the middle of a busy street in central London and just come to a random girl that he liked, approach her and then say something like, come up with some line like whatever, can you help me to get to this place or something like that, where is this street, or whatever, something like this, and then start the conversation. And you know, maybe first would say, no, I'm not interested, thank you. Second would say same thing, but then one out of few of these girls would go out with him. He told me that he dated some of these girls from the street, like meeting them in this way, or even, you know, did more than just dating and things like that. So here you have again an example how we just can limit ourselves. Think about, this is just an example, right? Let's say you are a young guy who just wants to meet a date, and you would do something like that, right? What's the worst case scenario here? Like the worst case scenario, the girl's gonna be like, leave me alone, all right, that's it. They're not gonna say anything more than that. They're just gonna say, thank you, I'm not interested, and gonna walk away. So this is the worst case scenario, right? What's the best case scenario? You're gonna end up having a nice date, perhaps, right? So you see how people limit themselves constantly on every level. And you know, you have some limitation, right? This is how I always approached these types of things. Whenever I had something that I was not good at and I didn't like that and wanted to overcome that, I would start gradually to overcome that thing. So with public speaking, that was a problem. So I started going to these like local classes, right? At the beginning, it's not comfortable, but after a couple of weeks, it just becomes normal. I didn't like the fact that, you know, I was bullied when I was a teenager. I would get into street fights, and I said, no, not gonna be. I just need to know how to protect myself. So I would start kickboxing classes and got better and better and better, and then overcame that fear, that challenge, that stress, you know. Same like if you say, I don't know, you want to approach a girl that you like, maybe at school, and I don't know, you think you are scared, whatever, you know. If sometimes what happens is, like, think about it this way: the worst case scenario is you're gonna say no, that's it, nothing probably worse gonna happen than that. The best case scenario, you're gonna say yes, right? But start slowly, start with something easy and try a couple of times, because after a few times things get easy. You get used to everything, and you don't think about it too much anymore. It's just normal, you know. I remember when I was like, whatever, 19, I was selling telephone plans door to door. It was like a really shitty job. But, you know, first day, you're just embarrassed, you just sweat, you get red, la 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 la, couple of weeks, couple of days, and it's just a day as every other day. You don't even think about it, what you're doing. So it's always like that. So let me quickly give you a couple of more examples with like how people limit themselves. So, for example, a lot of people who never tried martial arts, they think this is crazy, right? Who the would wanna beat the shit out of each other for fun? Like, it's painful. Why would I wanna do that, right? I'm scared because it's gonna be painful. You know, when you do martial arts, you spar, adrenaline spikes, and you don't feel pain. You feel pain after the fight if you have some damages, you know, injuries. But during the fight, you know, the adrenaline basically limits the pain. So you would think, yeah, it's gonna be painful, but actually not necessarily it's gonna be painful. It might be painful afterwards. And you know, you can train slowly and gently and get more and more comfortable. So again, these are how people limit themselves, how they create assumptions about something that is not valid, not real. Let me give you one more interesting example that I really like. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm not gonna say you know, I like him, dislike him. I just want to use it as an example. Some people are going to say, oh, why you keep bringing him? I just want to say this as an example. So when he came to the US, you know, he had a guy who was like a massive bodybuilder in wherever 60s, 70s he came, I don't know, but basically decades ago, from Austria with a harsh accent, with really strong accent, with a surname that you can't even pronounce, you know, looking like a monster, and no English, I don't know, or some basic English. And basically he started saying, I want to become a movie star. And everyone ridiculed him. Everyone said, are you crazy, Arnold? Look at you, you look like a monster, you know? Your accent sucks. Your surname, no one can even pronounce it. Everyone ridiculed him. He said like journalists ridiculed him. He was a bodybuilder already, so he was like, you know, already getting some level of fame in that community. But, you know, everyone ridiculed him. He said he would talk to some, I don't know, like some Hollywood people, and they would just laugh in his face. Said he's too big, he has a shitty accent, he has a surname that no one can pronounce, blah, blah, blah. But he decided, no, I can prove to everyone that this is gonna be what I'm gonna do. And what happened? It turned out that the things that everyone thought will be his disadvantages, his size, his accent, things like that, worked for him, because the roles that he played, like Terminator, like Conan, whatever, these first movies, were actually perfect for someone like that. Right? Someone with this kind of accent, someone who is big. So, you see, this is why I like these examples, because they remind me that I shouldn't care about what people think, you know. I just have to live the way I think it's good. Obviously, you know, get feedback as well, because, you know, maybe don't get like too much into ego and things like that, but just to not limit yourselves. Because, you see, we limit ourselves in all sorts of ways. We are afraid what other people are gonna think of us. We often don't allow our true voice to be heard, and you don't want to wake up one day regretting that you didn't do what you wanted to do because you were afraid what others going to think about you. And the funny thing is, you know, once you just overcome these limitations and start doing whatever you wanted to do, and at some point you start attracting the right tribe. You start attracting people that resonate and they like it, maybe. And then the funny thing, sometimes I see that the people who would laugh or secretly they keep watching you, now they think encouraged, oh, he could do that, maybe I can do that as well. So I'm gonna leave you with a really cool video that shows exactly what we've talked about today here. How can anyone unleash their true potential when they want that, and just watch the video.
I got the big